Okay, Mikovanen everyone, and welcome to my video response to my good friend Jez. Very quickly, it is March 29, 2024. I hope I'm remembering it correctly, but some little while back, maybe a couple weeks ago, I want to say, he requested that I do this video. It was like underrated videos that have or movies that have come down to streaming, and the ones I've selected, I believe, are pretty much down for streaming in some kind of way. I could be wrong, but I think they are available. And I'm also going to, just like a bonus thing, list a few that I'm going to mention that I'm going to see, despite the fact that it's been getting either negative feedback from the people and like reviewers like IGN, or have gotten bad reviews, and they're still up in the theaters. But as you can see, I'm starting off with Madam Web. There's really no particular order, I just kind of, as it popped in my head, I wrote them down and then just found a picture for it, and then I put it up. So Madam Web got really bad. I think IGN gave it like a 3 or a 4, something like that. Could be a 5, but I don't think so. I think it got like a 4 or something. It got really bad. But I saw this one, and I think that everyone involved in here, the actors, actresses, and director, everyone, they should feel, fine with what they did. Don't feel embarrassed. Dakota Johnson and Sweeney, I forgot her name, but Sweeney, I really don't know who she is just from here. And everyone else, I'm just naming those two, but everyone else, other 2 Spider Women, Emma Roberts, who played, the mother of Peter Parker. Was it Mary Parker? I can't remember, but, I thought they did an okay job at worst. And just as a movie, I thought it was, pretty entertaining and not nearly as bad, or even really bad, as what the critics gave it and what the people have been saying about it. Now I'm trying to remember the score I gave it. I want to say I gave it like a 7, or I think it was a 7 or 7.25, but I think it was a 7. I reviewed this one maybe a week or so ago, I think. So I had a good time watching this one. You don't have to think much. Not to say I don't like, I'm all about just action movies and ones that you don't have to think and have a dumb plot. Trust me on that. I mean, it's not the case. I love things like what is it? Like the Charles Lawton film, for example, Night of the Hunter, right, with Robert Mitchum and Shelley Winters. Or is it Winters or Winter? I can't remember anymore. I get confused sometimes if the name has an S or not. Films like that. So, even, thought-provoking films such as those, I do like. And love, Fritz Lang's M, for example. So, but I also love my Barbarian Queens and, Deathstalker 1, Deathstalker 2, Deathstalker 2 being a much more entertaining film than the first one, okay? So I just wanted to point that out. Now getting back on track with this. The villain wasn't all that strong. Sure, he's kind of a weak villain, but he did his job. He did what he was supposed to do. I felt this was more like a cat and mouse kind of Marvel superhero, light on the superheroics, and really just, Madam Web herself. I forgot her first name now. Was it Charlotte Webb? Jesus. Her having the clairvoyant ability to kind of foresee the future, how things are going to turn out, how I felt it was interesting how they utilized her powers doing that, kind of like a weaker version of Nicolas Cage's power in Next, you know. And it was mostly like her trying to keep these other women together to so they would survive and not die, so they can, you know, live out their future to be Spider Women. And that's basically what it was. The dialogue, of course, and especially when all the women get chatty, gets a little annoying and irritating. I don't like it when they talk too much. Same goes for like with Spider-Man, any of the Spider-Man when they talk too much. Other than that, I thought it was a fun one and a different one from your usual supervillain versus superhero, and then they fight. You know, this was more of the villain had a huge advantage with really offensive abilities, and someone who had non-offensive abilities, you know, trying to use them to protect the girls as well as herself, you know, that kind of thing. So that's what I liked about it. Damsel is another one here. This one stars Millie Bobby Brown. This one also got really bad. I think IGN gave it like a bad score. And in turn, this one maybe was kind of mixed. I think there are actually a lot of people too that did like it, but then other people that ripped on it, calling it, you know, woke and all of that. To me, I would say woke. It's woke if every line she was like, "I'm a woman," you know, and I've just beat you and you're a man. You know, something I can't come up with a dialogue for that, but just like, hey, you know, look at me. I'm a woman, you know, and you're a man and I beat you. I don't need a man to. The only woke part I would say is just at the beginning, if you can even consider that, but it was just one small bit. I don't consider it as woke. She said something about how usually it's like you're looking for a story with a damsel in distress, but this is not such a film, and that's it, and that's all. They don't try to go around it by or keep coming back to it and repeating it over and over again. And if you're complaining or people are complaining, well, the whole thing is her, you know, well, that's the point of the film. The whole thing is showcasing that she is strong, but not in a kind of bizarrely unrealistic fashion. I mean, she bleeds and she's not lifting things that she otherwise, you know, seem impossible because she doesn't have super strength. They don't I don't know the word for it again or how to describe it, but they don't make her her survivability and her strength too over the top. It's kind of just right for her. You know, it matched. Sure, of course, it might be like kind of a cheap, I guess cop-out is the word to use for a cheap cop-out, where they have those slugs or worms that can instantly heal you. You just put it on you and heal. Sure, but it's a fantasy world, you know. Mages have healing abilities and, you know, whatever, even in a Skyrim or something. I know that's a game, but still, they do have healing abilities and healing spells, you know, in these kind of worlds. By the way, I'm sticking to like more of the newer releases. I think that was what you were asking for, that have come down to streaming, so that's why I'm assuming that's what you meant. Okay, so I thought Damsel was a decent, fun kind of journal story, almost like a biopic, you could say, like a journal and a journey of her. Is it like a character piece, or like you being a fly in the wall and observing how she gets through these insurmountable obstacles and stuff like that. So I like that. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Again, I think this one didn't get super bad or anything like that. I think IGN gave this one a 6, but I think I kind of like this one a bit better than that. You know, it's like so, and I think it seems like is what it's been getting, and the people seem like they didn't like it, and whatever, Rotten Tomatoes and all that. I don't really care so much for those, but they thumb it down or score it down or whatever because it has Amber Heard in there just for that reason alone. I thought this film was great and I thought it was fun. I rather Patrick Wilson and Jason Momoa be on the same side and allies because I like the chemistry they have when they're together and friends or brothers, and on the same side, versus when they were enemies. He was great and they were both great, sure, when they were against each other, but I much rather them be together, and they were really funny together. What are you doing? I don't know how to run, I've never run before. I don't know where to put my arms, stuff like that. I like that. And this guy is a villain, just great as he was in the first one. I thought Amber Heard, I thought she was perfectly fine and still cool as she was in the first. In the first, it seemed like she has more lines and a bit more active, but here she was still active and even saved Aquaman's life, So I thought this was still a fun one. So that's another one I thought was underrated. Okay, so moving along here, we have The Marvels, another one everyone just ripped on and falls under the category that people put it under woke. I didn't care so much for Miss Marvel. Again, I really, when her and all her friends all get together and they're just chatty, I don't like it. I felt they talk too much and they shouldn't, and talk about stupid stuff. But I didn't think it was terrible. I just thought it could have been better if they just focused mostly on Kamala Khan and her superheroics. Now, in this one, there was a dumb moment when they went to this planet where it was like a musical and they only communicate, like they made singing like a language. I didn't care so much for that, but thankfully it didn't last all that long. I thought when these three are together, it was great chemistry. I will say that, and of course I know it's really not her fault, but they gave Kamala Khan like a few stupid lines here and there. Oh Captain, my Captain, or just stupid stuff like she just shouldn't say things like that. Just be cool, kind of thing. Just say normal things and just be cool. That's what I thought. I thought the action was great, and let's get down to that. And the whole switching of the powers was great. And let's get down to the combat, the fighting and the choreography. I thought it was excellent because it reminded me very much of the old Jackie Chan or Shaw Brothers martial art films, Kung Fu films back in the day. The way it was choreographed, especially if you think about it. You got those three up against, I forgot the bad woman's name, but her with the hammer. The way they fought, the way they moved, it was very, this person jumps there. They all worked in conjunction with each other. They fed off each other, bounced off each other when they did their moves. Just like a Kung Fu flick when you have like three good guys under one uber evil bad guy, and then, I'm not gonna, I can't do the moves, but, and then, they're just doing all the cool stuff. I just enjoy that immensely. I'm a fan of Shaw Brothers stuff and how they do that. Just think Shaw Brothers. When you watch this, if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch a Shaw Brothers Kung Fu flick. Watch something like Two Champions of Shaolin, or Jackie Chan's, I forget, I think it was called like Wooden Dummy or something like that. Wing Chun Wooden Dummy or something. Watch something like that. Or any old Kung Fu flick, and you'll see what I mean. And then there's some similarities there. So I thought that was entertaining. But things that also dumbed it down or made it kind of stupid was focusing again on the family, Kamala Khan's family, and they're in there too much and talking, again, dumb, stupid dialogue. And it's cool, they're there, they're fine, but then just, there was no need for them to go along and always be present. I thought that just kind of should just be there when they take her away and leave them there. Okay, so last one is Rebel Moon. Okay, this got shit on a lot. I think they called it like a Star Wars ripoff, where the Star Wars throwaway parts were put in here. I can kind of see, you know, with the villain, the bad guy side being like the Empire, but then also I think in Star Wars, the Empire were kind of also emulating what the Nazis were like. So it's all, you know, kind of like that. And isn't it that I thought I heard or read something about Zack Snyder was supposed to do a Star Wars or something, or his this was Zack Snyder, I think, right? Uh, something about somehow Star Wars is involved, and since he couldn't do it, he made it into this or something to that effect. Unless I'm remembering it wrong, but I thought it was something like that. So that's why it was like similar to that. This Asian chick was cool. This guy who was from Gladiator, and I forgot his name. I can't. His name began with like a DJ or something, but you don't pronounce the D or something, or you're just Dejamne or something. He was cool too. All of these guys were all cool. All the characters were cool, and a little twist with one character, you know, whom I thought was going to turn out to be good, but he turned out to be bad. Choreography, very cool too. And much like with Zack Snyder, in Zack Snyder tradition, like especially with something like 300, you know, the fight scenes, there's like slow motion effect and kind of goes quick. I felt like with 300, sometimes they do it a little bit too much, and same can kind of be said with this. But I thought it was unique seeing that, you know, in a shootout. But it's that kind of slow, quick effect was kind of taken from like Sonny Chiba films as well. So you know that's fine, that's okay. Not necessarily my favorite kind of effect, but it's okay, and better than John Woo, where it's always just like totally slow motion. He didn't seem like Zack Snyder didn't seem like he really did that slow motion stuff in the remake of Dawn of the Dead. So that was, you know, kind of different. I really love that remake of Dawn of the Dead, as well as the whole original Dead trilogy. You know, Night of the Living, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead. Okay, I thought those were great. So and the end fight at the end with at the end, yeah, of course the end, but the end fight with her, I forgot her name. I just can't remember it now, like the actress's name. But she was in she played Jayla in Star Trek Beyond, and she was the Mummy, this Tom Cruise Mummy, which was a remake of the Mummy. And she, yeah, so she's cool. And the end fight I thought was pretty decent as well, you know. And we're going to see a return with that villain. I can't remember who that played that villain now. I've seen that face before, but I just can't remember. And it is not Hugh. I was going to say Hugo Weaving, but it's not him. Okay, so now that that's done, ones that seemed like was getting some bad reviews or bad criticism that's coming out to theaters or just kind of coming out. Okay, there's three of them I can think of. There's Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire. I think IGN gave that a 6. It was some woman that was reviewing it, and her voice is like, and I can't imitate it, but it just was annoying to me. And the stuff she was saying, this is just not just her, but just IGN in general now. I feel as if it really felt scripted. I'm sure some of the old stuff, or even most of it, in the old days, in like the 2000s, you know, with GameSpot and IGN, scripted too. But I miss the guys like people like, you know, like Jessica Chobot, you know, or from like the G4 team with Sessler and Morgan Webb, right? Greg Kasavin, you know, people like that. You know, like when you see like the Greg Kasavin review, for example, of like Morrowind and Oblivion, it's like he's talking straight from the heart. If it was written, okay, fine, but it seemed like it was written by him. Maybe it wasn't, but it felt like it. It felt like when he reviews something, to me, it just felt like he actually had the hands-on experience with the game, and he's an actual fan of these things. I believe that guy, you know, and same with those other people I mentioned, Jessica Chobot and all them, right? Like I know with Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb, sure, it really sounds scripted, but the way they bounce off each other was very fun. And it's, again, even though it felt they speak very well, unlike me, um, it felt like still believable. Like they're really gamers, and I know they are gamers. They love their games, and like with Morgan Webb as well. But it felt like in those days, like those reviewers spoke from their heart, and it wasn't like with Greg Kasavin especially. You even see him when he was having his hands-on experience with Oblivion and playing that. He did a recording of that where he played it and for like, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. So I like that, and I miss that. It's not like today's IGN and GameSpot, So anyways, Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire is one I want to see still, despite what they say. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, they said it was like, and now the people kind of say or think the same thing, where it's kind of all over the place, too many characters involved. I still want to see it and give it a chance. And just for the record, I thought kind of like the female reboot of Ghostbusters with all the females, what are their names? Was it Kristen Wiig? The bridesmaids girl, and from The Heat, I can't remember her name now, Jesus. But her, I thought it was still a fun one too. Even back then when I saw it, I liked it, and I still enjoy it now. And then, of course, I'll end it by saying Rebel Moon Part 2. I'm still going to see that, of course, especially because it's included with the Netflix. So anyways, that is it. I hope you all enjoyed, and this is, again, my shout-out and my response video to Jez. I hope you enjoyed it, Jez. I know you don't put out content, but I still want to shout you out nonetheless, and hope you enjoy this, and see you.